And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln, and welcome to the final Oklahoma Sports Scene show for the month of March. Statewide in Oklahoma on Cox Yearview Channel 3, around the world on YouTube. Let's take a look at the sports lineup card for you this evening. We're going to start with a look at the Final Four and preview the national championship game. Then it's Kelly Hines, the Tulsa World outstanding sports writer, will join us and talk about some of the big changes at Oral Roberts University. The new basketball coach is also covering spring football for us. And Rob Murray, the head coach of the Tulsa Oilers hockey team. We're here to talk about Oilers' final home games coming up. Zack Reynolds joins him to talk about some special promotions for you Oilers hockey fans. Play ball, almost that time. Tulsa Drillers start the 2023 season. Coming up next Thursday, Drillers Vice President of the promotions and media, Brian Carroll, will be here to take a look at the season coming up. It looks like a good one for the Tulsa Drillers. And Don King joins us. He's the biographer and longtime friend of Alan Trimble, the late coach of the Jenks Trojans, where Don has been the play-by-play man for almost some 30 years now. And the great book on Alan Trimble has just been elected to the National High School Hall of Fame. All that coming up on Oklahoma Sports Team. Let's take a look right now at the Tulsa World's hot topics for you. Talk about madness. Well, there's been no madder March than this one has in all of college basketball. All the upsets, all leading to a Final Four that features three teams who've never been there in their history. We're talking all about that for you. And we'll also talk about the Oral Roberts University's new head basketball coach. Introduce you to the man who's taken over for Paul Mills as Russell Springman has become the Golden Eagles' new coach. We'll have some comments from him, and Kelly Hines will talk more about the in-depth of how that all transpired. FC Tulsa wins its home opener. Impressive performance by FC Tulsa, playing their first home match of the season last Saturday night at OneOK Field before over 4,500 fans. They got their first win of the young season with a 3-0 win over Loudoun United FC. Great action goals by Blaine Ferry in the first minute of extra time to close out the first half. Then, after the break, 18 seconds into the second half of the match, Milo Yusuf got his second goal of the season to make it 2-0 Tulsa. And then, after the match seemed to be over, they went into extra time at the end of the match. Marcus Epps put one in the net from 20 yards out in the fifth minute of the extra time to give new head coach Blair Gavin his first career win. It was Tulsa 3 and Loudoun 0. FC Tulsa had its home match this past Tuesday, hosting Pittsburgh. Then this Friday night, March the 31st, they close out the month and the homestand by hosting El Paso Locomotive. That's on college night, and it's the first $1 beer night at OneOK Field as FC Tulsa soccer in action Tuesday and again this Friday. Tulsa Oilers indoor football team kicked off its inaugural season on the road. They started at Frisco, Texas last week, losing the game down there. The team's first touchdown, though, in franchise history came in the third quarter. A 31-yard pass play from quarterback Giovanni Sanders to Joshua Crockett. Historic touchdown for the new FC Tulsa Oilers. Oilers have a bye this week. Then they return to play against the Duke City Gladiators on a trip to Albuquerque, New Mexico, before making their home debut. Mark this date down, Saturday, April the 15th, Quad City in the BOK at 7:05 p.m. FC indoor football, the Oilers coming up this season. We're looking forward to it, the BOK Center. And congratulations to the Oklahoma State equestrian team. The OSU team won its third straight Big 12 equestrian championship and its ninth overall as they defeated TCU in the finals 12-8. Straight ahead, Kelly Hines, the Tulsa World sports writer, talk about the new changes of basketball coaches at Oral Roberts University, talk more about the crazy March Madness season, also spring football underway. All coming up on Oklahoma Sports Scene. We're glad you're with us.
The Tulsa Oilers are back on the ice with a new owner, a new look, and a new attitude. Save big on season tickets today, 2022-23 season. Tickets starting as low as $17 per month. Get your season tickets at TulsaOilers.com. TulsaOilers.com. Experience hard-hitting, glove-dropping, pulse-pounding, glass-rattling kind of thrill. Season tickets available now at TulsaOilers.com. This is your town, your team, your Tulsa Oilers are back.
Billy Sims knows barbecue. How about 9 meats, including brisket, chicken, pork, turkey, and ribs? Just to name a few, and 7 home-style sides. We start early to slow smoke the most delicious meats for over 12 hours.
Every day.
Wherever you want, online, dine-in, curbside, or carry-out. We've had a passion for over 15 years of serving delicious barbecue to people like you. Billy Sims has fast, drop-in friendly neighborhood service, loud enough for a tailgate and fancy enough for a wedding. Like we said, Billy Sims knows barbecue.
Remington Park Racing returns with the 2023 Spring Quarter Horse season, running from March 9 to June 3rd. $1 million races, multiple Saturday programs featuring the best horses in big money action, and racing champions all competing throughout the season. The normal Remington Park Racing Week is Thursday through Sunday. First race at 6 p.m. nightly, Sunday afternoon racing 4 p.m. The top quarter horse paint and Appaloosa racing season continues through June 3rd at Remington Park.
This episode is sponsored by Equity Bank. Athletes work hard day in and day out to improve their game. They put in time and effort to stay in shape and bring their A game for the big day. Our tellers do the same thing with banking. We work hard to serve our communities and keep your money safe. Equity Bank. We never forget it's your money.
So glad you're back with us on Oklahoma Sports Scene. We're joined by one of our regular contributors, and I enjoy always having your outstanding sports writer for the Tulsa World, Kelly Hines. And it's been a busy few weeks.
Oh my gosh.
New basketball coaches, new spring football going on, and the craziest March Madness ever. Been very busy for you.
It's been very busy, and I always think, well, after this week, things will slow down, and that really doesn't happen, but this has been, in particular, one of the crazier marches that I can remember.
Well, let's start. You had the story in the Tulsa World, headline story there, the sudden departure of the head coach Paul Mills after his incredible run of 6 seasons, 30-5 seasons, the best for Oral Roberts University, another NCAA tournament appearance. And Bill Hastings wrote a column saying that ORU wants to keep him for another 20 years. And hours after that, he left for Wichita State. Tell us how it all happened.
Yeah, I think that we all knew that there was that possibility for Paul to move on. It kind of made sense for him. He'd accomplished so much at ORU. I thought that Texas Tech was going to be that next move for him, but Wichita State moved faster, and I honestly think that's a better fit for Paul. He's talked so much about non-football schools having basketball success, and specifically had mentioned Wichita State when talking about those programs. So when it all happened quickly as it did, I was like, no, I think that that's a really good fit for him. And I like the way he handled it too. He got ahead of it with the players. They found out from him, and nice. He's just always been really classy with how he's handled stuff, and I thought that was no exception.
And Wichita State certainly is a program with 16 NCAA tournament appearances. They've been to the Final Four twice. They've got a really great tradition up there in Wichita. Yeah,
and Paul's pretty aware of that program, having played up there at Wichita State before. We're pretty aware of it, with Tulsa playing in the same conference. I think that's a program that, they have the fan base there. They have support if you win. They have a great arena. They have a ton of history. And I can see how Paul would be, a guy who could unite that fan base. They're very hungry for the success that they had a decade ago.
How did he do this at Oral Roberts University? I mean, 106 and 84, 2 NCAA tournament appearances, and of course that magical run of the Sweet 16 and 21.
I think it all starts with recruiting. I think he was able to take some of the success that he had at Baylor, as an assistant, and he was able to sell guys on that. And, his staff was exceptional at ORU. Obviously, Russell Springman was a big part of that. But I think you're able to get those players in, and he is kind of, unlike a lot of coaches I've dealt with, like he's just been, he's always had that first focus on the players. What's going to be the best thing for the players? Instead of thinking, what's going to be the best thing for me or for the program, he's always like, what do we need to do to make the players, put them in a position to succeed? And I feel like he's just been a really good fit in every way for the ORU program, and things just clicked with him. I remember being at his introductory news conference and being like, I don't know how this is going to go. Yeah. Like we didn't know a whole lot about him personality-wise.
It's so long at Baylor.
Yeah, and he's quoting Drake and the Old Testament like back to back. I'm like, who is this guy? But then once he got in there, he just he really connected with the players, and obviously you bring in a guy like Max Asmus and things are going to go really well for you. But, the development of guys, I just was really impressed with start to finish how that program went under him.
And I was so impressed. He is so faith-based and really lived and was very open about his faith and really projected that as well. Great time with Oral Roberts University.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that made it a good fit. I mean, I remember after that Sweet 16 run, and even during it, talking about how that was an opportunity to talk about his faith and making that, an emphasis within the program. I think that made him just a really good fit. I mean, fans loved him, the university loved him, and obviously when you win, that's going to happen. But when you're able to, keep the mission of the university at the forefront, I just, that was just really impressive the way he was able to incorporate that with basketball.
End of last week, the announcement that came very quickly of the new head basketball coach, Russell Springman, new head coach, 25 some years, an assistant coach, first head coaching job. But again, he's a man who I think, what were your first impressions when you heard about it?
Yeah, I know that Paul Mills was advocating for him, and you would have to think that that would have a big impact. And I think when you know that every player on this year's roster has eligibility left, you're probably wanting to continue that momentum that Paul had started. And maybe even take it further. And so I think keeping that in mind and knowing all of Russell's experience, especially as a really good recruiter and just a very well liked coach, I thought it made a lot of sense. Love that they didn't hire a search firm, they didn't mess around with it. It happened so quickly. Less than 24 hours later, they make that move. And for Russell, he got really emotional, talking about his coaching journey and, during his introduction. And I think, for a lot of those guys, they probably start to think later in their career, maybe this is never going to happen for me. He had other opportunities and it wasn't going to be a good fit for him for whatever reason. And then he just stuck it out. And then I think probably the best outcome for him was right there. And who knows how that's going to go. But I think that, the players love him. Max Asmus had a lot of really good things to say about him. He recruited Kevin Durant to Texas. He's got some history. So I can't wait to see how it goes with Russell.
Well, let's hear from the new head basketball coach, the Oral Roberts Golden Eagles, Russell Springman. This is the introductory press conference at ORU last week.
I want to thank you again for this responsibility. I'm looking forward to everything that comes along with it. And I'm excited about what is getting ready to happen at Oral Roberts University for our men's basketball program. Thank you all for being here. There's an expectation here that we're going to attract the right people, people of high character that are committed to every part of their lives and developing every part of their lives, I should say. So I just want to build on that and advance this program forward, but I'm just excited about everything that Oral Roberts is about. It's a perfect fit for my family and myself, and we're beyond excited about this opportunity.
Back with Tulsa World sports writer Kelly Hines. I was so impressed with your coverage, including what they're saying about Russell Springman. You put together kind of a who's who list of Kevin Durant, Tennessee coach, former Texas coach Rick Barnes, our own guard Max Asmus there, and even Wausau High School coach Brian Montanati. All glowing comments about Coach Springman.
Yeah, and I really liked the stuff that Rick Barnes said. That kind of gave you insight into who Russell is as a person, because we don't really know him that well. He's kind of been in the shadow for a long time throughout his career. So obviously Kevin Durant, his comments were pretty cool. Like, we're thinking now that Kevin Durant's going to be an ORU fan. So that's kind of unique. But everyone had really positive things to say about Russell, and it didn't all seem like fluff, like you get a lot of that when I've covered a lot of these introductory news conferences, and everything is so positive on that day.
Yes.
And I look back on a lot of the ones that I've covered that things didn't go so well from there, but there is always a renewed excitement around a program, and I think that's pretty impressive considering there's already a lot of excitement with the ORU program.
Well, Kelly, this may be the maddest March ever. 84th edition of the NCAA Men's Championship Tournament. And for the first time in history, not a single #1 seed will be playing on Saturday in the Final Four.
I'm just glad I didn't fill out a bracket.
I didn't either.
I mean, like that.
Why?
There's no need to do that. And, I'm an AP voter, and looking back at not just my ballots like early in the season, but late in the season, teams that I thought, oh yeah, they've got a chance, and they're at home now. So I just didn't expect it to go. There's always going to be upsets, but to this extent, it's crazy.
Saturday, the Final Four starts with San Diego State, Florida Atlantic, then followed by Miami of Florida and UConn. And these are, again, three of the teams. 1970, you have to go back 1970 to find 3 teams before they've never been to a Final Four before this year. And with the exception of ORU's 30-5 record, it was a pretty dismal basketball season in Oklahoma. Tulsa 5-25, 1-17 in the American. OU 15-17, 5-13, and last in the Big 12. OSU 2016 and faded to 8-10, but did make the NIT. But tough year for basketball.
Yeah, it was, and I covered a couple of those teams during the season, and it went worse than I thought it would go.
Yeah.
I'll just say that, especially with TU. That was especially painful to witness.
And now spring football. You and I both at the opening spring football practice with Kevin Wilson. And, of course, one thing you learn about football, everybody has a great spring and a great recruiting class. Never fails.
Yeah. That was a very revealing 20 minutes that we spent watching those stretches.
Yeah, that's right. They're so worried about us, like we know what was going on or we care.
And we don't even have an accurate roster, so we don't even know who's out there.
Kelly, thanks for joining us always.
Anytime.
Appreciate it very much. Kelly Hines, the Tulsa World sports writer. Be sure to read her in the Tulsa World. She's in the paper almost every day. They're working this poor girl to death. We're going to come back with another season. Finishing basketball, moving to spring. Time to play ball. Tulsa Drillers. Brian Carroll will be here to talk about the new season right after this.
Indoor football is back, Tulsa, and your Tulsa Oilers kick off the season Saturday night, 7 p.m., April 15th. Let's make history and fill the arena as indoor football returns to the BOK Center. Tickets starting at just $9. Enjoy Saturday night out with your family and friends and experience the fast-paced, helmet-hitting, pad-popping excitement of professional indoor football. Get your tickets now at TulsaOilersFootball.com. That's TulsaOilersFootball.com. Saturday, 7 p.m., April 15th. Join the Oilers action.
Billy Sims knows barbecue. How about 9 meats, including brisket, chicken, pork, turkey, and ribs? Just to name a few, and 7 home-style sides. We start early to slow smoke the most delicious meats for over 12 hours.
Every day.
Wherever you want, online, dine-in, curbside, or carry-out. We've had a passion for over 15 years of serving delicious barbecue to people like you. Billy Sims has fast, drop-in friendly neighborhood service, loud enough for a tailgate and fancy enough for a wedding. Like we said, Billy Sims knows barbecue.
Remington Park Racing returns with the 2023 Spring Quarter Horse season, running from March 9 to June 3rd. $1 million races, multiple Saturday programs featuring the best horses in big money action, and racing champions all competing throughout the season. The normal Remington Park Racing Week is Thursday through Sunday. First race at 6 p.m. nightly, Sunday afternoon racing 4 p.m. The top quarter horse paint and Appaloosa racing season continues through June 3rd at Remington Park.
Back at the home of the best barbecue in the world, it's the Billy Sims Barbecue in the Farm Shopping Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. About time to play ball. We're here with Brian Carroll. He is the Vice President, Director of Media and Public Relations for the Tulsa Drillers, and finally almost here, isn't it, Brian? Wow.
It's almost here, Chris. It's the best time of year.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the Final Four going on. The Masters are around the corner.
That's right.
And opening day in baseball. And you know, at this point, everybody's tied for first place. So it's nothing but positives.
I love the way we're starting at home at OneOK Field on April the 6th. It starts with a 3-game homestand with the San Antonio Missions. First pitch at OneOK at 7:05. I'm sure a lot of things planned for that opening weekend.
Yeah, it's a perfect start to the season. You know, as operators, you like starting at home,
Yeah.
get that excitement, and then plus it's only 3 games,
Right.
so we get through that. And yeah, in opening night, we have a lot of festivities taking place, and then from there we kick into our big promotion schedule. That Friday night game, we'll have our first fireworks show of the year, and then the following night, the Saturday night, to wrap it up against San Antonio, we got probably our best giveaway of the year. It's a Drillers pullover, very nice item, like a quarter zip pullover,
Right.
and one of the best things that we've given away. So we're hitting the ground running, and we're looking forward to a big weekend.
Let's talk about this 2023 schedule. It's an impressive run here, and it mentioned a lot. Well, I looked at the schedule. I love the fact that a lot of weekend dates, and sets up a lot of promotions. The season, of course, running all the way through September the 17th. How many games? A lot of baseball.
Yeah, 69 home games,
Yeah.
and we start off with 3 games, and then the other 66, it's 11 6-game series. You know,
Nice.
Minor League Baseball changed their schedule last year, and it works real well. Every Monday is off, and we play 6-game series, and yeah, it's loaded with promotions. We've got 4 midweek day games that people like, especially when the weather's nice. We've got over 20 fireworks shows, which still, you know, the top promotion that we put out there, and a number of giveaways. over the course of the season. So, a lot of excitement, and that's not factoring in the team that we're going to put on the field that a lot of people are speaking very highly of.
Yeah, your manager, Scott Hennessy, great to have Scott back. He returns for a 6th season. We had him on just before he went down to spring training. He's led the Drillers to 4 playoff appearances, 3 Texas League Division titles, and a 2018 Texas League championship. Been the manager since the middle of 2017. His 327 wins ranks number 2 on the all-time Drillers managers list. So he's not a heck of a manager, but a great guy too.
Tremendous guy. You've got to know him, Chris, and he is just so tremendous. And that person that that comes in and talks to you, that's who he is in the clubhouse as well. And the players love him. They love playing for him. And the thing that he does so well, Chris, is he makes it fun for those guys to come to the ballpark. They look forward to getting back to the ballpark each day. It's a long season. It can be a grind, but Scott doesn't let it turn into that. He makes it a lot of fun for those guys.
Things have gotten better for the minor leaguers. Thank goodness the major leaguers have stepped up there and started providing these kids some housing, a little more per diem, but nobody does it with quite the class. It seems like your parent team, the Los Angeles Dodgers, do it.
We are so fortunate, Chris, to be able to call ourselves an affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I mean, you can't say the word class enough with the way they go about things, whether it's how they treat us, how they treat their players. They just do everything so well. They've got resources and they utilize them, and it is just a first class organization. The name Dodgers is known worldwide.
That's right, yeah.
And I mean, with the World Baseball Classic, the game is growing across the globe. And when you start talking about teams, the Dodgers are towards the front of that. And so since we've been an affiliate of the Dodgers, it was a fortunate day when we could make that switch.
Yeah. What other team has their own food truck? That takes care of the boys here at home, but travels on the road with them.
It's unbelievable, Chris. Yeah, we will have
and a great
2,
chef.
Yeah,
good food.
Yeah. I mean, we'll have 2 personal chefs that will be here for all 138 games. And I've been fortunate enough to take part in a couple of those meals. And you would think it was from a high-end restaurant that you're carrying it out from. And and it's just. Yeah, I say it's small. It's not a small gesture. It comes at a lot of cost and a lot of effort, and and it is appreciated down below. Those guys realize how good they do have it.
So, what reports are you getting out of spring training from the coach and the staff there as they put this roster together down in Arizona?
Positive. Just some of us just got back from Arizona just a couple of weeks ago, and. Without fail, I mean, everyone with the Dodgers that we interacted with, they all said the same thing. You are going to love this team that you're going to have. They're going to be good. Now, we'll see if that translates into wins on the field, but we are going to be loaded with prospects. And like MLB.com, they list the top 30 prospects in each organization. And I believe out of the top 30 listed for the Dodgers, 8 of them are going to start in Tulsa.
Nice.
And several of them are on the 40-man major league roster, including the number 1 prospect in the system, Diego Cartaya, who will be our starting catcher. So, I mean, our starting pitching rotation, those 5 guys, I mean, the description is the same for all of them. They're big, tall, strong, and they all throw right at 100 miles an hour. A trademark of the Dodgers.
Yeah.
It's we're going to be loaded with talent, and we'll see what Scott does when he puts it all together and puts them on the field. But there's going to be a lot of potential future big leaguers taking the field come April 6th.
Well, it's hard to believe, but OneOK Field, its 13th season, we lost 1 season because of COVID, opened in 2010, and it looks like it just opened the other day.
Again, I said it sounds like it's a broken record, but I say how fortunate we are to be with the Dodgers. We are just as fortunate to be able to call OneOK Field our home. I mean, it's a fabulous facility. I would put it up against any other stadium in minor league baseball, and it looks as good as the day we opened it. In some ways, better because of some of the improvements that have been made. And it's just a great facility to come out and watch a baseball game. It's a great facility for the players from both teams down below, and it's just, we are very fortunate to call it home.
Brian, what are you looking forward to most this season with Drillers baseball?
You know, I think it gets back to what we were talking about, Chris, the players that the Dodgers are going to send us. You know, I've been at this a long time, longer than I care to admit, and I'm not sure that I've ever heard the amount of enthusiasm for a group of guys that we have coming in. Hopefully, knock on wood, they all stay healthy. And, you know, you've seen the short time we've been with the Dodgers, how many players we've put in the major leagues. And I think we're going to add to that list this year.
He's the Tulsa Drillers Vice President of Media and Public Relations. It's a fabulous job with the whole promotions department there. But we all know fireworks, baseball caps, pullovers are great, bobbleheads, but product in the field is what counts, isn't it?
Exactly. That's what it all boils down to at the end of the day.
Thanks, Brian, for joining us. Mike Malega is going to be on deck. He may join us, in fact, next week to talk more baseball and to get Coach Hennessy back here as well. Again, Tulsa Drillers baseball, it all gets underway April the 6th, 3-game series. San Antonio Missions, be there. OneOK Field support. 23-23 Tulsa Drillers is going to be a fabulous season. We're going to come back and wrap up the hockey season. The Oilers coach, Rob Murray, is going to be here, and their play-by-play guy, Zack Reynolds, right after this break.
Clear.
So seamless, right? Baseball is right on
awesome.
the button. Thank you.
Indoor football is back, Tulsa, and your Tulsa Oilers kick off the season Saturday night, 7 p.m., April 15th. Let's make history and fill the arena as indoor football returns to the BOK Center. Tickets starting at just $9. Enjoy Saturday night out with your family and friends and experience the fast-paced, helmet-hitting, pad-popping excitement of professional indoor football. Get your tickets now at TulsaOilersFootball.com. That's TulsaOilersFootball.com. Saturday, 7 p.m., April 15th. Join the Oilers action.
Billy Sims knows barbecue. How about 9 meats, including brisket, chicken, pork, turkey, and ribs? Just to name a few, and 7 home-style sides. We start early to slow smoke the most delicious meats for over 12 hours.
Every day.
Wherever you want, online, dine-in, curbside, or carry-out. We've had a passion for over 15 years of serving delicious barbecue to people like you. Billy Sims has fast, drop-in friendly neighborhood service, loud enough for a tailgate and fancy enough for a wedding. Like we said, Billy Sims knows barbecue.
This episode is sponsored by Equity Bank. Athletes work hard day in and day out to improve their game. They put in time and effort to stay in shape and bring their A game for the big day. Our tellers do the same thing with banking. We work hard to serve our communities and keep your money safe. Equity Bank. We never forget it's your money.
The Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, home of the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, is a treasure trove of memorabilia honoring Oklahoma sports legends. For museum hours or to schedule a tour, go to oklahomasportshalloffame.org.
Well, we started playing Ice Oilers hockey back on, my gosh, October 21st. Now we're coming down to the final 3 games of the season this month of April coming up. Joined now by the Oilers head coach, Rob Murray here, and of course the voice of the Oilers hockey team, Zack Reynolds. And Coach, hard to believe it's almost over.
You know what? It happens every year. You look at the schedule, it's 72 games, you think it's forever. And then all of a sudden you're in March, April, and you're like, where did it go? I mean, it's like anything in life, really. But
yeah, sure.
But seasons come and go so quickly sometimes, and it is. It's amazing that you got all those games put behind you, and you know, we got 10 games left on the season.
April 7th, 8th, and 9th, the final 3 home games. I'm sure you got some pretty good promotion stuff planned, don't you, Zack, for that?
Yeah, absolutely. On the Saturday, on the 8th there, it's going to be exciting. We're having the second Battle of the Rig ever between the Minnesota Whitecaps and the Buffalo Buttes. Sadly, this last weekend, Minnesota lost in the Isabel Cup, which is their championship, in overtime. Yes, and so they'll be playing before our game. And with Minnesota, they lost in the overtime, but you know, got to the finals and did a really good job to get there. It was an overtime loss, and so we'll get to see them back again at the BOK Center. Last year, we had a great attendance. A lot of the players mentioned the fact that it was the most fans they'd ever played in front of, and that was great to see. I mean, there's some women on those teams that have played Olympic Games before, and they said that was the biggest crowd they've been in front of, and we're really excited about that. We got fan appreciation as well going up on that Sunday, the final home game. So that last 3 set of home games will be exciting, and as always, get to see some familiar faces come into town that have gone through some battles throughout the year, and it should be a fun weekend.
Coach, that was a tough series with Kansas City. 3 games you could have won all 3 of them. Some great goaltending and stuff, and some tough breaks and some bad play at the wrong time.
Well, I mean, Friday night, it's a 3-3 game. They score a late goal 4 minutes to go on a breakaway that was defendable, and it just seems like the way our season's gone this year, and one mistake and it seems to cost us. I think, like I was saying to my son last night, that we beat ourselves in a lot of ways, and then Saturday night we're up 4-1 going in the third period, and we take a couple undisciplined penalties. Next thing you know, it's 4-3 with 10 minutes to go, and man, it was a nerve wracker, but we won it. And then yesterday afternoon, we're playing okay. It's not like we're not competing. Yeah. We're just not finding a way to win. And last night, for example, like they actually we had a 5-on-3 with less than 2 minutes to go. We pull the goalie. We get a chance right on the doorstep. I don't know how we don't score. The puck's literally on the goal line, and we don't find a way to score. And then they score an empty net goal, and that's the game. And it's kind of like, again, and there's no excuses, Chris. I mean, it's just been one of those years that we haven't caught a break, And
it didn't help either that Anaheim, the parent club, of course, that's what it's all about. Is they made a couple of trades that took away, subtracted, but didn't add, and that hurt us. Bad timing.
Well, especially because Max Golod he had just won Player of the Week. Yeah. He was on fire. I mean, he was getting 2-3 points a night. He had finally really found his game. He was a dynamic player all year, but he finally kind of really dialed in. And we were on the road. We were in Cincinnati. We just got into Kalamazoo after the game in Cincinnati, and I got a call, and they had traded both Max and Logan Nyhoff to Chicago, or the Chicago system. Right. And I'm kind of waiting on the phone, and we're going to get, and so-and-so is coming to you. Yeah. We didn't get anybody back. So, Max, by all rights, was our best player. Logan Nyhoff, I wouldn't put him up there as the best player, but was a very serviceable and good hockey player that we've missed ever since those guys have left.
And you were saying, listen, your play-by-play too, Zach. We had some really good goaltending this last 2 series.
Yeah, going up against Kansas City, the games throughout the weekend, there was really strong goaltending. Daniel Manella played really well on Saturday for us, and then for Shane Starrett on Friday night, he played well for Kansas City, as well as Dylan Kelly. He stopped 41 of 43 shots on Sunday, and like Murph said, at the end of the game, the chances down low, and he made the initial save and was able to fight back on another play, and it was just like, he said kind of one of those things where it just didn't fall, and it seemed that it was going to be there, and it seems, you just kind of run into hot goaltenders, especially in this division sometimes, and it makes it a bit more frustrating, I think, as you watch it.
Kate Murray, you've got the longest road trip of the season coming up. Pack the guys up and head for the first time to go to Portland, Maine.
Yep, looking forward to it. I mean, I haven't been there in years. When I was in the American League, not only as a player but as a coach, they had a team in the American Hockey League. It was the Portland Pirates at the time. We actually, when I was a player, I was in Moncton, New Brunswick, and we played Portland in the Calder Cup Finals, which is the American League Championship. Lost 4 games to 2, but I haven't been there in a long time. It's a beautiful city. It's right on the water. I mean, it's really cute. Like it's cute. It's quaint. It's quaint. Sorry, not cute. Looking forward to it. Like I said, I haven't been there in a long time. Very familiar with the building, the town, and we have not played this team in the history of the Tulsa Oilers. So, be interesting.
Zach, you've never been to the state of Maine. Looking forward to it, huh?
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it. And it's always fun to see new teams, of course. And then meeting the other broadcasters around the league is always fun as well. So excited about that. And heading out to Maine. The team doesn't get to play teams out of the North Division very often. And this will just be the third time we've played a North Division team, at least out of the current state of the division, since 2018-19. So it's exciting.
He doesn't get out much.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah, the other fans have really stuck by. You've had some record crowds this year, but best in the ECHL.
It's been great. Even yesterday, I mean, it's a Sunday afternoon. I know it was pucks and paws, all the dogs that were in attendance, but I think it was 6,800. You know, and that blows away anybody's Friday or Saturday night in our league, for that matter. And the fan support has not waned. You know, and you got to love them for it, because we have not had a good year. And you know, it's certainly a show of support is great.
Andy Skirtle, the owner of the Oilers, and Oilers will be here on the show next week. But I'll tell you, he's been a dynamic owner and really supports these franchises, supports sports in Tulsa, doesn't he, Zach?
Yeah, it's been great. You know, they had the Macy's building coming in, which has now got a name as the Wee Street Ice Center, which is really exciting. And of course, you know, he has the football team coming in. They played their inaugural game as well last week, and bringing in the women's games as well before our games. It's fantastic just to have Andy backing us.
Coach, have a great time in Maine. Have a lobster for me.
No, I'll have a couple.
Sounds good. Zach, you ever taken a lobster apart?
Hey, I've done it a couple times, but I've never had Maine lobster, so that's a whole different ball game. I've heard. I've heard it's a whole different game.
Lobster is lobster.
Enjoy and bring us back a victory here, Coach. And great. Again, we'll wrap things up when you get back into the season, but guys playing hard and so always entertaining. Tulsa Oilers hockey down in support of the BOK Center. Again, the 3 final home games, April 7th, 8th, and 9th at the BOK. We come back. Don King joins us. He is the voice of the Jenks Trojans, biographer of the great Alan Trimble, just received an incredible honor. That's straight ahead on Oklahoma Sports Scene.
The Tulsa Oilers are back on the ice with a new owner, a new look, and a new attitude. Save big on season tickets today, 2022-23 season. Tickets starting as low as $17 per month. Get your season tickets at TulsaOilers.com. TulsaOilers.com. Experience hard-hitting, glove-dropping, pulse-pounding, glass-rattling kind of thrill. Season tickets available now at TulsaOilers.com. This is your town, your team, your Tulsa Oilers are back.
Remington Park Racing returns with the 2023 Spring Quarter Horse season, running from March 9 to June 3rd. $1 million races, multiple Saturday programs featuring the best horses in big money action, and racing champions all competing throughout the season. The normal Remington Park Racing Week is Thursday through Sunday. First race at 6 p.m. nightly, Sunday afternoon racing, 4 p.m. The top quarter horse paint and Appaloosa racing season continues through June 3rd at Remington Park.
Billy Sims knows barbecue. How about 9 meats, including brisket, chicken, pork, turkey, and ribs? Just to name a few, and 7 home-style sides. We start early to slow smoke the most delicious meats for over 12 hours.
Every day.
Wherever you want, online, dine in, curbside, or carry out. We've had a passion for over 15 years of serving delicious barbecue to people like you. Billy Sims has fast, drop-in friendly neighborhood service, loud enough for a tailgate and fancy enough for a wedding. Like we said, Billy Sims knows barbecue.
And we welcome you back to Oklahoma Sports Scene at Billy Sims Barbecue in the Farm Shopping Center in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And my good friend Don King here to honor and recognize one of our all-time favorites, Alan Trimble, an absolute coaching legend in the state of Oklahoma, getting more of his due now to be inducted into the National Federation of High School Hall of Fame. So well deserved, Don, and so overdue.
Well, it is, and I think he was nominated maybe 3 years ago, and so there are others that have been nominated for many years and not get in. So for them to recognize him as quickly as they did is impressive.
I'm glad you and I really worked on that, helped push him into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame in 2008. Well, the coach was still with us here. We'll get more to that story in a moment. But you know, no one knew Alan Trimble better than you did. Is not only covering his football season for over 20 years, and then, of course, being his biographer, the golden years, the life and times of Coach Alan Trimble of Jenks. And I know it's a special relationship for you, too.
Well, it all started in the oil patch, Chris, while he was a student at NSU. He worked in an oil field supply company, and at that time, I grew up in the oil field business, so I was selling oil field supplies to him and asked him when he was going into his senior year in college, what do you want to do? when you graduate? And he said, I think I want to be a coach, and I like math, so I think I'm going to be a math teacher. And I said, I'm just starting at Tulsa Cable back in those days. Maybe I'll be doing one of your games someday. And we laughed about that. And he'd always joke when things weren't going well, I think, Don, we need to get back on the oil patch.
Didn't happen very often.
No.
Things were not going well for the Jenks Trojans. Just give us some of these Hall of Fame numbers, Don. These are incredible.
Well,
22 seasons at Jenks.
From 96 to 2017, won his 6 state championships in his first 6 seasons. 13 state championships, 252 and 43. He set all kinds of records, 39-game winning streak in Class 6A. So just a tremendous resume for him. And as he said, a kid from Cleveland, Oklahoma, who could write this up.
Most consecutive state playoff victories with 25. One that you mentioned, the 6 consecutive state. I didn't realize those were his first 6 seasons.
First 6 seasons.
And this semi-deflated ball you have in front of you. What season is that, Don?
That's 97. That's the Legion of Doom team,
great team
with Rocky Kalmus and all those great players, Sean Mahan and a lot of those guys that went. I think he had 6 or 7 that went on to D1. In fact, of the 11 defensive starters, 10 went on to play Division I college football, and the only one that didn't, I think, was Buddy Blair, who went into pro baseball with the St. Louis Cardinals.
What a scene. Wow, incredible. There's so much more I mentioned Alan Trimble, though, than just wins and losses and championships and stuff. Just an incredible man. You chronicled it so well, and again, did so much incredible research in that book that was put out in 2020, your coffee table book there, Golden Years. Is that still available, Don?
Still available. You can pick it up at the Jinx Athletic Department. They're on the 3rd floor of the Sharp Center by the stadium. I think they have 4 or 5 copies left, still $50, but if you played for coach or new coach, it's well worth it. It's got each season, he chronicles each season, the good and the bad. Also, there's a spiritual message in each chapter written by another person that was associated with Coach Trimble, maybe a former coach or somebody within the Jinx family. So,
and you really told his story that he told you.
Yes.
You worked together with him.
Yes. Coach Fox, who does the games with me, Eric Fox, who's the vice principal at Jinx, he and I had the pleasure almost every afternoon through the fall before he passed away, of sitting down with Samantha Ryan, who wrote the book for us for Yorkshire Publishing, and we chronicled every season. And I would bring up the schedule and some of the games, and Coach Fox would certainly would help out. And so the 3 of us sat there along with Courtney. She contributed quite a bit as well. And
this, of course, is when he was going through ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease. He was diagnosed in 2016.
Yes.
Was it, Don?
Yeah.
And battled through it. 2017, his last season coaching, retired in 2018, and the disease finally caught him at the end of 2019 there, December the 1st. He passed at the young age of 56. I can't imagine a more horrible, debilitating disease. And yet, Alan Trimble, the Trimble Foundation, all the works there and stuff, the way he fought through it and stuff, just such a great role model for all of us.
Chris, he doubled down. You know, when he faced that head on and doubled down and did more speaking engagements and never passed up a chance to talk about his story and how he could try and help others.
Well, again, just an incredible man, and he's so well deserved this honor. He goes in with a great class, and it's going to be in Seattle, Washington, July the 1st. It's going to be the induction ceremonies, and some of the family's going to be up there. Don, I think you should be part of that too, with all the work you've done with them.
I appreciate that. I'm sure the family's still trying. It's still in the infant stages of how that's all going to be put together. But if there's a chance that I could be invited or there's a spot for me, I'll go.
So how's the wife doing, the kids and everything?
Everybody's good. I just did the state high school basketball tournament, Chris. I did 19, including blue basketball, the G League, and filling in on some college baseball. I did 19 events in 10 days. So I took vacation to Vegas last week and then went to Phoenix, played some golf, and caught some spring training baseball. So I'm revved up and ready to go again.
What just a couple of your favorite memories or stories of you with Alan Trimble?
Well, I think Alan was much more than football. Obviously, his faith was, he touched so many people, not just football players, but students. He loved teaching in the classroom. So there's that. Just his overall demeanor and how he treated his coaches he'd be as proud, maybe more proud, of his assistant coaches who have now won more state championships, 14, than he did as a head coach at 13. I think he'd be more proud of that. And just when families would come back, his former players would walk in his office with their kids, and their families made him very proud.
Who are some of those Trimble coaching tree members?
Well, Lauren Montgomery, David Alexander won one at Broken Arrow. Brad Caleb won one at Booker T. Washington. Tag Gross has won maybe 2 at Holland Hall. So that's guys right off the top of my head. And then you look at what David Tennyson has done at Beggs. He's been very close. What Matt Hennessy has done at Pahuska. He's been very close. So there's some guys still knocking on the door to try to win, and J.J. Tapan at Bishop Kelly.
Alan Trimble, class of 2023, going to be inducted into the National Federation of State High School Associations National High School Hall of Fame, and so well deserved. And again, Don, tell people how they can get and need to get this golden years. It is to the life and times of the incredible Coach Alan Trimble.
Yeah, they're available on Amazon, but locally, go to the Jinx Athletic Department, 3rd floor of the Sharp Center there at the football stadium, and they have 4 or 5 left. So, and congratulations to you on getting into the Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame. Well deserved this summer.
Thank you for joining us, buddy.
Always a pleasure.
Great memories with the great Alan Trimble. We're back with our Remington Park race report, and I'll also show you the world's richest horse race, $12 million. Straight ahead.
Billy Sims knows barbecue. How about 9 meats, including brisket, chicken, pork, turkey, and ribs? Just to name a few, and 7 home-style sides. We start early to slow smoke the most delicious meats for over 12 hours.
Every day.
Wherever you want, online, dine in, curbside, or carry out. We've had a passion for over 15 years of serving delicious barbecue to people like you. Billy Sims has fast, drop-in friendly neighborhood service, loud enough for a tailgate and fancy enough for a wedding. Like we said, Billy Sims knows barbecue.
The Tulsa Oilers are back on the ice with a new owner, a new look, and a new attitude. Save big on season tickets today, 2022-23 season. Tickets starting as low as $17 per month. Get your season tickets at TulsaOilers.com. TulsaOilers.com. Experience hard-hitting, glove-dropping, pulse-pounding, glass-rattling kind of thrill. Season tickets available now at TulsaOilers.com. This is your town, your team, your Tulsa Oilers are back.
This episode is sponsored by Equity Bank. Athletes work hard day in and day out to improve their game. They put in time and effort to stay in shape and bring their A game for the big day. Our tellers do the same thing with banking. We work hard to serve our communities and keep your money safe. Equity Bank. We never forget it's your money.
The Oklahoma Sports Hall of Fame, home of the Paycom Jim Thorpe Award, is a treasure trove of memorabilia honoring Oklahoma sports legends. For museum hours or to schedule a tour, go to oklahomasportshalloffame.org.
A huge program of major stakes races held this past week in Oklahoma City at Remington Park, with the Rich Quarter Horse Oklahoma Futurity and Derby being run, and the Oklahoma Paint and Appaloosa Futurity. With a recap of all the action, here's track announcer Dale Day from Remington Park.
The first of 3 $1 million plus nights of racing this season at Remington Park is now complete. Oklahoma Futurity Night on March 25th boasted total purses of more than $1.2 million. Here's a look at the main events. The richest race of the night, of course, was the Oklahoma Futurity, a Grade 2 event worth more than $533,000. Richest purse ever for the 82nd running of the Oklahoma Futurity, held at Remington since 2006. Full field of 10 in the gate, and they roared to the finish. They're off in the Oklahoma Futurity. Good start, Pearl Hart, Piano Man Sam, PYC Legacy from the rail cams. Relentless like a shot, suddenly on the lead. Here comes Dash and Hawks right from the middle as well. Big finish coming up. Dash and Hawks going for the front with PYC Legacy and Pearl Hart. Dash and Hawks, PYC Legacy, photo on the line in the Oklahoma Futurity. PYC Legacy, your Oklahoma Futurity winner, owned by Rita Sosa of Blanchard, Oklahoma, with the Melton Trains. Juan Polito, the winning jockey, was the first win in the Oklahoma Futurity for all of the connections. PYC Legacy undefeated, having already won the trial for the Futurity on March 11, and now the big race itself. More things coming from this Oklahoma Red down the road. A race after the Futurity was the Grade 3 Oklahoma Quarter Horse Derby, $234,000 plus in that purse, another field of 10, and a long shot coming home. They're off, and the Oklahoma Derby. Trace Crystal's a horrible start on the outside. Out sharply, Lawless Wallace. Here's Apolitical Face in proximity toward the rail coming on. AP Scout and Apolitical Eye. Proximity now. Puts the nose up front. Chased inside by AP Scout and Apolitical Eye. And outside, Lawless Wallace still there. Proximity finds more. Proximity in the Derby by half length. Proximity, previously winless. She breaks her maiden in the Oklahoma Derby. This 3-year-old filly by Moon and the Eagle scores for Dennis Dreyer, owner of Farmington, Missouri. Monte Arosa trainer, Francisco Calderon winning jockey. Arosa and Calderon picking up their second consecutive wins in the Oklahoma Derby. They won in 2022 with All Points Bulletin. Proximity paid $27.60 for the win. The Grade 1 Oklahoma Paint Appaloosa Futurity was held earlier in the night, $203,000 in that purse, and the long shot trend continued in the Oklahoma Paint Appaloosa Futurity. They're off in the Oklahoma Paint Appaloosa Futurity. Good start from the rail for MT Ultimate Live Wire. Out sharply middle of the gate. That is Whiskey and Rain, chased by V Golden Game and Jay's Flying Chicken. Trying to come up now is Just a Live Wire. At the rail flying, here's MT Ultimate Live Wire. Middle of the track, Whiskey and Rain. Whiskey and Rain by a head. Trainer Monte Arosa and jockey Francisco Calderon had a huge evening. Whiskey and Rain scores. This 2-year-old paint filly, owned by Dunn Ranch of Wynnewood, Oklahoma. Arosa trains Calderon up. She breaks the maiden in her second career start. She was second in her qualifying trial to get to the Oklahoma Paint Appaloosa Futurity. All paints in this year's edition of the race, $203,000 plus. This was the second time that Francisco Calderon rode the winner of the Oklahoma Paint Appaloosa Futurity. He scored aboard Smithworks, now a great stallion for the paints, in 2021. Racing continues at Remington Park Thursday through Sunday with first race at 6 p.m. nightly, except on Sunday when we start at 4 p.m. Extreme race date is set Sunday, April 16th. Camels, ostriches, zebras, and more back on the track with the quarter horses, paints, and Appaloosas, always one of our biggest days of the year. At Remington Park in Oklahoma City, I'm Dale Day. Now back to Sportscene.
And bonus race coverage for you from the world's richest horse race, the Dubai World Cup. The $12 million Dubai World Cup run this past weekend in the United Arab Emirates of Dubai. The Bob Baffert-trained Country Grammar was the defending champion. Let's listen to the call from the American Triple Crown announcer Larry Comus in Dubai to call the $12 million Dubai World Cup.
Country Grammar is fourth on the outside. And they're into the stretch of the Dubai World Cup. Bandung, Algiers. These two turn for home 1-2. They're side by side with 3/16 of a mile to run. And from the back of the pack, here comes Ushba Tesoro with a rush on the far outside. Algiers to catch. Ushba Tesoro gains in, goes by. Ushba Tesoro hits the front. Ushba Tesoro wins the Dubai World Cup for Japan.
What a horse race. What a setting. The incredible Maidan race course in the desert of Dubai. Boy, this makes me feel old. I actually hosted the very first Dubai World Cup in 1996. This was the 27th running. I was very young back then. But the great Cigar went over to lead America's charge and won that very first Dubai World Cup. Probably one of the highlights of my broadcast career in thoroughbred racing. Big weekend coming up in thoroughbred racing. The Kentucky Derby prep races are starting to get serious now. Arkansas Derby is this Saturday over at Oaklawn. The morning line favorite in the race at Oaklawn, 5-2, is Reincarnate. That race now is worth $1.25 million. The other big Kentucky Derby prep race is at south at Gulfstream Park in Hallandale, Florida. It's the Grade 1 Florida Derby. And we'll have much more on the road to the Kentucky Derby, which, by the way, is, of course, always the first Saturday in May. This year, it'll be May the 6th, 149th Run for the Roses. With 3-year-olds, the purse this year now up to $3 million. I'm going to come back with my Equity Bank's Lincoln's 2 cents worth, the final commentary in the final segment right after this.
This episode is sponsored by Equity Bank. Athletes work hard day in and day out to improve their game. They put in time and effort to stay in shape and bring their A game for the big day. Our tellers do the same thing with banking. We work hard to serve our communities and keep your money safe. Equity Bank, we never forget it's your money.
Indoor football is back, Tulsa, and your Tulsa Oilers kick off the season Saturday night, 7 p.m., April 15th. Let's make history and fill the arena as indoor football returns to the BOK Center. Tickets starting at just $9. Enjoy Saturday night out with your family and friends and experience the fast-paced, helmet-hitting, pad-popping excitement of professional indoor football. Get your tickets now at TulsaOilersFootball.com. That's TulsaOilersFootball.com. Saturday, 7 p.m., April 15th. Join the Oilers action.
Remington Park Racing returns with the 2023 Spring Quarter Horse season, running from March 9 to June 3rd. $1 million races, multiple Saturday programs featuring the best horses in big money action, and racing champions all competing throughout the season. The normal Remington Park Racing Week is Thursday through Sunday. First race at 6 p.m. nightly, Sunday afternoon racing 4 p.m. The top quarter horse paint and Appaloosa racing season continues through June 3rd at Remington Park.
Billy Sims knows barbecue. How about 9 meats, including brisket, chicken, pork, turkey, and ribs? Just to name a few, and 7 home-style sides. We start early to slow smoke the most delicious meats for over 12 hours.
Every day.
Wherever you want, online, dine in, curbside, or carry out. We've had a passion for over 15 years of serving delicious barbecue to people like you. Billy Sims has fast, drop-in friendly neighborhood service, loud enough for a tailgate and fancy enough for a wedding. Like we said, Billy Sims knows barbecue.
Well, wrapping the show with our Equity Bank Lincoln's 2 cents worth. You know the old saying, you get what you pay for? That's certainly not holding up, it seems like, in the men's college Final Four basketball championships. In fact, 3 of these coaches are making their debut in the Final Four, and they're not even ranked among the top 25 paid coaches in college basketball. Of course, can you even name the 4 head coaches in the Final Four semifinals? Well, here you go. Saturday's first semifinal. It matches San Diego State, their coach Brian Dutcher, in his 6th season. They'll take on the darling of the tournament, the long shot, Florida Atlantic. Their coach Dusty May has been the Owls coach since 2018. The second semifinal features Miami of Florida coach Jim Larinaga. He was hired in 2021. He's a veteran, though. At 73 years old, he'll be the oldest coach ever to win a National College Men's Basketball Championship. He goes up against the University of Connecticut's Dan Hurley. He's in his 4th season at UConn. UConn, by the way, does rank 6th all-time with 4 national championships, the most recent, though, back to 2014. And certainly the Huskies have been the most dominant of the year's semifinal teams, which is has Vegas giving them the biggest shot to win the whole thing. They are now minus 130, a major favorite to cut down the Nets Monday night in Houston. San Diego State is next in the betting line. They're plus 380. Miami and Florida plus 550, the longest shot, as they have been the entire tournament. The Florida Atlantic Owls at plus 600 in the betting line. The Owls coach May, by the way, makes a salary of just $390,000. That's in sharp contrast to college basketball's top 5 salaries. Take a look at these. From 5 to the top, Auburn's Bruce Pearl, Tennessee's Rick Barnes, Michigan State's Tom Izzo, and Kansas's Bill Self all make between $5 and $6 million a season. But number 1 in annual compensation for college basketball coaches is not even close. But Kentucky Wildcats head coach John Calipari, $8.5 million. So what do these top 5 highest paid college men's basketball coaches have in common with you and me? Well, they'll be watching the NCAA Final Four and championship games on TV at home, just like we will be. That's my Equity Bank's Lincoln's 2 cents worth commentary. Hope you'll join us next week. We're going to have on the show with us Andy Skirto, the owner of the Tulsa Oilers hockey and football team. Talk about some exciting plans he has for the future of Tulsa sports. Mike Malega, the Tulsa Drillers main guy, will be here to talk more baseball with the Drillers opening their season next Thursday. Till next week on Oklahoma Sports Scene, I'm Chris Liggett, reminding you as always, be a good sport.